Country making an increased effort to get COVID vaccination shots into the arms of people who need it. And now the CDC is recommending states open up vaccine eligibility to anyone 65 and older and people with underlying conditions between the ages of 16 to 64. MSNBC's Corey Coffin is in New York, where they've ramped up their efforts with 24-hour vaccinations. And there was an interesting photo spray of those 24-hour vaccination places. Not a lot of people were going to them.
Hey, Candace, I'm so sorry. Your audio is breaking up. I could not hear that question, but I think it's in the sense of kind of how states are going to get through this with the lack of what we're now finding out is a lack of a stockpile, a lack of inventory. Yeah, we're here at the Javits Center. It is one of the 24-hour sites. It's one of 250 sites that the state has as a goal to kind of ramp up to get more people vaccinated. And more states are expanding their vaccine pool as they try to open up to those the folks who are elderly or folks with comorbidities. But it does open up the vaccinations to millions, tens of millions of people. And what we're learning is, at least through reporting now from the Washington Post, that stockpile might not be there, despite the Trump administration saying they were going to release all of that. That might already be released to states. They might have it already. And now we're learning that their plans, several months out, they've already made appointments for people. They're having to call and now cancel them. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz expressed his frustration over what he called kind of the botched federal rollout and what it means for states. Listen to what he said recently.
They come in 980 increments, and you have to use them all, so you have to plan accordingly because you don't want to waste any. So we've taken up some time here, and it's about the security. I'm glad you've gotten into this. We've had the vaccines now approved for 32 days. The country needs these. The sense of urgency around them is great. The obvious catastrophic failure of getting them out is becoming more apparent.
Obvious catastrophic failure. And we are also hearing the same issues from states like California, Georgia, South Carolina. It is across the board that they are starting to see that their programs are running out. They're not getting as many vaccines. In fact, Governor Cuomo also reiterated that the federal supply is a looming issue in this state. They now have some 7 million people who are eligible for a vaccine. And for example, guys, they're only getting some 250 doses next week. So at that rate, in New York here, it'll take them the summer to get through this expanded pool, let alone the general population. Now, one big question is, will the people who already got their first dose get their second dose? Because, of course, if the stockpile is gone, that seems like that's going to be a major issue. Well, Governor Walz there expressed concern over that. However, other states say they still are holding back a portion of their supply in order to make sure that those people who got the first dose will get the second one. Candace, Lindsay.
250 doses on the week. That's insane. Corey Coffin, thank you.
With so many states ramping up vaccination efforts, President-elect Joe Biden released a plan of his own. And it comes, of course, amid the criticism of the slow rollout under the Trump administration that Corey was just talking about.
The vaccine rollout in the United States has been a dismal failure thus far. We will always be honest and transparent about where we stand, both the good news as well as the bad. We're going to make sure state and local officials know how much supply they'll be getting and when they can expect to get it so they can plan.
Biden's plan includes encouraging states to let more people be vaccinated, giving them permission to deviate from strict guidelines, launching more vaccination sites like pharmacies and mobile clinics, increasing the vaccine supply through the Defense Production Act while also deploying FEMA and the National Guard to set up clinics, and giving states regular projections of vaccine allocations. That's to address those complaints that there's really no uniform system across the board. Joining us right now to discuss is MSNBC medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar. Dr. Azar, good morning to you. Thank you so much for being with us. So President-elect Biden vowing to administer 100 million vaccines in his first 100 days in office. Is that realistic still?
Look, Lindsay, I think I probably share his optimism, given all of the implementation that he plans with the $20 billion that he has pledged. Remember, the themes, I think, around his press conference yesterday were really all about transparency, accountability. There were a few themes in there, such as equity. One of the big themes for him is to make sure that, people of color, communities of color, and hard to reach places, rural areas are going to have access to this vaccine. The thing about the 100 million doses in the first 100 million days really relies on this governmental cross-sectoral approach that is triggering the DPA, using federal resources such as FEMA to launch these mobile clinics and to enlist hundreds and thousands of healthcare workers to administer the vaccine. Can it be done? I think it can. It is certainly ambitious, but I think, in his words, we're aiming for this. This is our goal. We should try to be reaching for this. We absolutely need to be reaching for that goal.
Well, let's talk about the national stockpile. We just heard Corey's reporting that there is none, and that's contradicting HHS Secretary Alex Azar's comments earlier this week. Let's listen.
We are releasing the entire supply we have for order by states rather than holding second doses in physical reserve.
Do those second doses exist right now? Is there a stockpile that's still out there?
No, there's not a reserve stockpile.
All right, Dr. Azar, no relation there to our HHS secretary. What does this mean for people waiting for their second dose? Are they going to get it in time?
Look, here is the problem. There is not a uniform answer for this, Lindsay, because every state has been doing it differently. In certain areas, hospitals have specifically held back second doses and stopped scheduling people for their first doses because of that precise reason. I have now, for the last, I would say, 72 hours, been both in parallel happy about the increased eligibility, but also dismayed by it because it is just exacerbating the discordance between demand and supply. We're going to run into a significant roadblock and a wall. In fact, many states and areas already have. There's reports out of, Mount Sinai in New York. They've had to stop scheduling vaccines altogether. This is a real issue, which again, back to Biden's plan about employing the DPA to ramp up production and distribution. We're kind of back to that again. We don't have enough supply in the reserves or in general. This all needs to be coordinated so that there's equity in supply and demand out there, Lindsay.
Yeah, Dr. Azar, real quickly, because we have to let you go. Did you get your second shot yet? Because I know you got your first one on live television.
I did.
Great.
I did. I got it on Wednesday. I'm feeling fine, a little bit achier. I would say I had nothing. Some people do experience more symptoms, but again, they are transient, 24, usually the 36 hours short-lived. We all think a small price to pay for the immunity at the other end.
Absolutely. Congrats to you on that second dose. I know that you'll still mask up and socially distance because,
Absolutely.
Dr. Azar, that's just your style. Thanks so much.